cybersecurity isn't just about strong passwords anymore. Hackers don't need to hack you if they can outsmart you or even trick your printer. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Tech Coaches podcast. It's me, the tech translator, Fer, in this digital jungle, and Bill, the guy who probably has more firewalls than my grandma has rosaries.
Yes, but they're all about protection.
And that's why he is the expert. I bring the questions and he brings the answers. Since this month will be Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we're not just repeating the same things we have talked about many times before, that is updating your computers, patching your computers, making strong passwords, or using MFA. We want to go a bit more into what goes behind the being really secure.
Yes. And whether you've got a whole team or it's just you and your laptop, you are the tech champ, if you will, of your family or your business or just yourself sometimes, because we've all got personal devices and also probably business devices that we work with. And all that data flowing back and forth, you need to be aware of how to be secure. And the month of October is all about cybersecurity awareness. All right, so strong passwords, MFA, phishing awareness updates, all kind of boring stuff. We've talked about it before, but that's what we do for our clients, so our clients can focus on their business and, frankly, recovering hours in their own lives. It will stop most attacks, but we need to go a little deeper when it comes to cybersecurity awareness.
Think of it like brushing your teeth. I mean, it's not glamorous at all, but it did prevent certain cavities.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, Bill, let's not totally skip the basics. People really expect it.
Yeah. So 90% of all the attacks are going to be prevented by multi-factor authentication, especially the new password list, which is in one of our other episodes. Keeping your machine updated with regular patches and updates and the software that is on the machine as well. And then also making sure you've got a password manager, because you don't want weak or reused passwords. And all of that stuff together will stop the majority of these attacks.
So it is like locking your door, not handing out your keys, and not leaving broken windows.
Yes. So you take care of all those things. And that's why most of the cyber insurance policies that are out there, and if you are not familiar with what those are and you have a lot of sensitive data, please ask us about it. That's one of the services that we offer. They do require regular education for all of the employees and special education for people who handle sensitive information, like the ability to pay a bill, do ACH transactions, people in HR, people in IT. They might require something a bit above and beyond. And then now the questionnaires are asking about vendor security, which we'll get into in just a minute.
Okay, now the basics are covered. We'll go to the juicy stuff.
Nice.
Hackers don't need to hit you directly if they can compromise the company you buy from.
Yes. And so why break into just one vault if you're a bad guy, if you can break into a vault that takes care of many different businesses and you can corrupt the whole key factory?
And honestly, that freaks me out because I can't believe that you can do everything correct. Like you can have your strong passwords, you can have the MFA, you can do updates on everything.
Yes.
And there's still a way to get to you. And all because a vendor messed up.
Yes. So I'm going to talk about two scenarios. One of them is public and we all know about it. So years ago, Target, the retailer, got hacked, and the way that people came into the system is through the Buildings Control Management System, the HVAC system, so heating and air control. That's how they got in, because somehow, if I remember this correctly, they had their same cashier system on the same network as the AC control system. So that's how they got in. Okay, so that was through a vendor that had not updated or patched their system. So that is one very obvious example, one that a lot of people might be familiar with. Another one that was really popular, I want to say 2 to 3 years ago, is a company called SolarWinds. So if you think about this, SolarWinds is a software tool that can be used by an individual business, but it also has service for companies like ours that let people into multiple other companies' IT systems. So if you really want to go after people with information and get the greatest source, you go after that command and control system like SolarWinds. And so what happened was SolarWinds got hacked and it gave, called them the bad guys, access to multiple systems at different companies all at once. And then the next thing you know, they put that code in there and then they were able to exfiltrate, meaning grab all of the data from those systems and those companies.
I mean, I think the worst part is thinking that now I don't feel secure thinking that it could be the designer I get for my webpage or an IT provider that could be the back door to for hackers to use to get to me and my company, and also not only me and my company, my clients.
Yes. And that's why we're talking about some things that go a little bit above and beyond standard security today. Like you said earlier, we talk about multi-factor authentication, all the security basics. But the reason that the vendor supply chain is really important is to make sure that everybody in the company who is in charge of working with a vendor or buying from a vendor or approving a contract, that they know how these companies handle and manage the data, because it's not just your data, but it's data from other customers as well. So a couple of questions, and I'm going to read these from our script. Just they're very light, and then we're going to get into another resource that's for you, and it's for free. So just ask some very simple questions. Do they monitor whether their employees have been breached? So are there employees who are probably reusing passwords? Are they involved in a data breach? So that's a question. It's a yes or no. And if it's a yes, they do, I would ask how. If it's a no, then that's something where you would say, oh, well, okay, we would like for you to start doing that.
Or maybe I won't work with you.
Exactly, yes. Then the other one is, tell me about your employee security training program. And so again, it goes to every employee that touches a system, and then it goes to an extra level for people who can approve things like contracts, change payment terms, access banking systems, you name it. Then third, what's your process for updating and patching systems? Now, this is where it can get a little bit tricky, because some systems that vendors use might be old. For example, there's one banking company I know of in the US that has a 30-year-old business banking system. They aren't going to be able to patch and update that like a Windows 11 machine. So you have to review all of this on a case-by-case basis. But for the most part, if the data is secure in a system and they patch and update it on a regular basis, that's what you're looking for. If they have an exception, just ask a couple questions about it, and if you need assistance, let us know. And then the fourth item is, and this is kind of a no-brainer, do you use multi-factor authentication for all the critical systems? So at this point, it's going to be all the systems they use to interact with you, their email, and also things like their IT systems. Now, we will have a link in the description of the video for the Vendor Security Alliance, and it's a questionnaire, and it's an organization that provides this for free to all sizes of businesses, and it's a checklist that you can use and adapt for your own company or organization to ask all of your vendors, what do you do to ensure our data is secure, safe, and protected?
So let me see if I understand this correctly. It will technically be like if you're picking a babysitter for your kids.
Yes.
Like technically you don't only trust them, you have to trust their circle, like the people they connect with and have around, because in the end they could affect the result of how they treat your kids.
That's exactly right. You want to make sure that you understand who they associate with and how they handle their interactions with them. You don't want someone who is unqualified to take care of your kids.
What if the video call with your boss wasn't your boss?
Yes. Welcome to the world of deepfake scams.
According to Verizon's 2024 DBIR, 74% of breaches involve human elements. Going on to that topic, I've seen a lot of funny memes about deepfake online.
Yep.
But now you're telling me that criminals are actually using them to scam people.
Yes. So the easiest thing, well, the one that we're most familiar with is called business email compromise. It's where I pretend that I am someone else and I ask them for money to transfer something, a sense of urgency, etc. A client a couple of years ago had someone fake the president of the company, said he was out entertaining clients, used an email very similar to the president of the company, and asked him to go buy gift cards and then scratch off the back of the gift card, send him pictures along with the code. And unfortunately, this person did that. So that is business email compromise in a nutshell. So that is what we're most familiar with. But now with AI, you can do things very, very quickly, like clone a voice, make a phone call in that voice to make it sound even more urgent. And if someone is really slick, you could call to verify that that's correct, and they could have a clone voice reply, yeah, that's correct. You have any other questions? And they could, very movie-like, speak into something or type very quickly, and it will reproduce that in, let's say, the president of the company's voice.
And it is surprising for me because years ago, I would have never thought someone would be able to do AI voices that really sound like the person.
Yes.
Because now, like, you can see in TikTok all the time, videos where they are putting you a movie and they make the voice of, let's say, the main character to explain the movie to you, which at first I was like, is this part of the movie? But now that we are talking about deepfake and AI, I can realize that it's not that it's part of the movie, it's done with the voice of the actor.
Yes.
So it's not the voice of the actor, really. It's AI.
Yeah, it's AI, and it's a little strange because we're in this transition point in the world where a lot of artists, like a movie, they've signed their rights to a movie place for reproduction, or a record label. Someone can make a song by Prince, and it's going to sound like Prince, but Prince never wrote it, never sung it, nothing. Okay, so that is definitely possible. The other thing is we are looking out for this because this is what we do. But imagine the average person who might not be on the lookout for that.
And like, if you put it that way, who is going to really question a video call from their voice, or a phone call, like even the voice? Like, you normally will think that it is the real person.
The ones that I think are really wild right now, and this might be controversial for some people, but there are all of these OnlyFans creators. And what a lot of people don't know is that they may have subscribed to a person
that is AI,
but that person's cloned the voice, the messaging style, and everything. And the people that are answering it are either real and they're using these tools to respond to people for messages, or they've completely automated it. It's absolutely amazing to me what can be done right now. And for those of you with an iPhone, I don't know about the Android phone, but I know the iPhone, if you go into the accessibility area, you can clone your voice. And I think it takes about 3 minutes. It's not perfect right now, but you can flip that iPhone on, do the voice clone, and I know you can do it on the Mac as well, and it will sound very much like you. And if you want to get even better, there are AI companies that will help you make an even better sounding voice.
I mean, that is terrifying. But Bill, what can someone do if this is happening to them? Let's say I get a call from you. How can I confirm if it's really you or if it's a deep fake?
So the easiest thing to do is, if you got something like that, you should just call me on a number you know that's me, and then just ask me something that you know only I would know, right? That's the easiest and fastest way to do it. So it's a little bit of a headache to do, but if I were to say transfer a certain amount of money or give this client access or this person access to our systems, you need to just call and verify it. And think of it as a double check of any kind of system that you would do. That's one thing that's really important. And if you don't have that option for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't have that option, but if you don't have that option, there are other messaging systems that you can contact that person on outside of the main one And again, ask that question that only you know, I know, and make sure that that's legitimate. The other thing is just don't do it and wait until you see me face to face. There are some transactions or some type of things, whether it's transferring money, whether it's going someplace or granting access to it. In our world, an IT system, or in other world, a system to turn in a bid for a client, where you definitely need to make sure that it is a real thing.
Noted. First of all, I'll never do that if I'm not face to face with you. But the second thing is, this is making me realize that Cybersecurity Awareness Month is not only awareness about make your password really strong and update your computer. It's also awareness about the new tricks that the people, or I wouldn't say the people, the hackers are creating every single day, and how to keep ourselves the safest possible, because in the end, we have talked about it before, sometimes you can't avoid a hacking if they're like have so many programs or stuff, but you can do everything possible to minimize the reach of that hack.
Well, and we've talked before that the most dangerous element in any data system is the human element. And so we know that we need basic education. And in my opinion, before hiring anybody, you need to do an assessment of not only their computer skills, but their cybersecurity skills, so you know how to help them be safe in the role and the position that they're in that company. Or maybe they're not allowed to be in that role if they really don't know how to protect things. I've run into a few people that I don't know how they're in that role. Sometimes, okay, I'll just say that. But the reason that we're doing this for Cybersecurity Awareness Month is because it's not just the basic training that's needed. It's things like assessing your vendors, things like being aware of what a deepfake is. What do I do when, if I supposedly sent you this message to do something, go out and buy something? Yeah, verify it's real.
Yeah, I don't know if I will believe Bill telling me to buy 100 cards.
Yeah, that would never come from me. No.
That smart coffee maker might be the weakest link in your network.
Yes. If it's connected to Wi-Fi or hardwired, I should say, either one, if it's got any kind of mobile signal, then that means it's on a network and it can probably be hacked.
And I feel like we all talk about laptops, phones, the usual stuff that you will think we need to protect, but we never talk about the things in our house that are like smart things that can be connected online, like that smart thermostat or that printer that you can connect to Wi-Fi. You never think those could be the doors to your network.
That's exactly right. So a phrase that was super popular a couple of years ago, still accurate today, is called IoT, Internet of Things. And one of the most popular ones is like the Nest thermostat, and then you've got the Ring doorbells and all kinds of devices that are like that. Those are things that people don't often think about. They assume, sometimes correctly, sometimes incorrectly, that those devices are auto-updating or they're always safe. And what I would tell people is that some of your larger manufacturers on the most recent models of these things, like the smart fridge, like the thermostats, et cetera, they auto-update. But a lot of them don't, or they require your manual interaction in order to update them. So for every one of these devices that connects to the network, you need to figure out, how do I update it for security patches and overall updates? There's even a website that lets you search insecure webcams and other IoT devices. It's called Shodan, if you ever want to look at it. And you can see all kinds of things that people probably wish you couldn't see.
I mean, it's crazy because I've seen a few stories. I'm fan of Reddit stories and all that. And I've seen so many stories where people will buy like security cameras for their houses. And the thing that we're not mentioning here is sometimes you do need to change the password for all those smart products because they come with the generic passwords like admin 123 or stuff like that.
Yes.
If you don't change it, like people can access it online. Like they don't need to be at your house to be able to access that. So I remember a story where they were telling that like a page, like the page you mentioned, like one day someone sent them a link and it was the view of their house from the inside, from the cameras. And it's like crazy because you never think that something like that will be able to like put your house and your family out there for everyone to see and to see whatever you're doing. Like, what if you have one inside of a room,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that, or you decide to go like on your underwear around your house? How many people could have seen those
Well,
people there?
that and one that's similar. It's different because it's not necessarily a hacker, but it would be considered like an invasion of privacy. You know, VRBO, Airbnb, lots of these have exploded over the last couple of years, and the last Airbnb that I stayed in had a camera in it that they did not disclose, but I was able to find it, and they may or may not be there. And so now there are actually apps that may or may not work that help people find cameras in hotel rooms.
I've also
and
seen
Airbnbs.
devices that have like the red light, I
Yeah,
think, and
yeah.
but it is really scary. And if you're like still thinking, not all smart devices are like really easy to access online. There's also another example from a girl like in Twitter that was like punished by by her parents, and they took away her phone. Then they found out she was using her DS like game
Yeah.
to tweet. They took it away, and then she did one from her fridge. Like she used her fridge
Oh
to
wow.
send a tweet, and you could see under the tweet it said like Samsung fridge or something like that. So it also has to go with the safety of your family members, your
Yes.
kids, and all this information is accessible online. So if your kids are able to use the fridge to send a tweet, what can a hacker do with your fridge being open for everyone to
Yes.
use and manipulate?
Yeah. So you might want to know, how do I fix some of these things? So as you mentioned before, a lot of the devices that are either inexpensive or are old will come with the default username and password. There are websites that you can go to look up the default username and password for a number of routers and all kinds of other devices. And I can tell you, just as a fun thing that I do, every time I go into an apartment building, a hotel, a business, I see if I can get on the Wi-Fi. I run a couple of programs that are free on my phone to see what devices are accessible on the net. And then sometimes I will show the owner or manager of that business, look at what is accessible. The last place that I stayed, every single TV
Was open.
was wide open, and you could request to see someone else's screen. You could cast to their screen. You could see their screen. If you could make the connection, you could see all the network cameras, you name it. So change any default password immediately. As you probably have heard us say ad nauseum, put it in a password manager so you don't lose it, because naturally you don't want to have to reset the device. That's really the only way you get it back once you change it. The other thing is to keep the firmware updated. And I mentioned earlier where sometimes that's automatic. So if I have from a major manufacturer, it's a relatively new device, the firmware will update automatically. Sometimes it does require you to log into an app on your phone or on a tablet to get that firmware update to be applied. But if it's relatively new, that's okay. However, if the device is older, or if it's not from a major company, then it probably does not self-update. And so you want to make sure that that updates all the time. One of the biggest ones for us are clients that have old firewalls. They don't even know that it needs to be updated on a regular basis. And then when we ask who was managing it before, how often did they update it, et cetera, they have no clue. And so then they're like, okay, can you help us figure this out? And so we will. And then the other thing is, and this is kind of a no-brainer, almost all of the new Wi-Fi network devices that you have will allow you to create multiple networks. So just like if you own a business, you will see that the business has a private network and then there's a guest network. You can do that very same thing in your house now, and it comes on all modern equipment. So you can have at least two, a guest and a private one, but you can probably have 15 or 20 of them. And so my suggestion is put your devices on a separate network on your Wi-Fi from what you would use for work, and also that might be used for gaming or other things like that. It's very easy to do, not hard, and you can literally Google it, or as everybody's doing now, use one of the GPT AI tools to do it.
So technically, it will be like when you're at a party and people keep their kids in the room.
Yes.
That way they don't like wreck the living room and
Yes.
ruin it.
Yeah, you don't want a 3-year-old running around while there are people with beverage glasses that are made of glass on a tile floor. That's something you don't want to do. It's a very, very great analogy for that. Same thing would be pets. You don't want a dog with a really long tail that's really happy to see everybody, knocking things over all the time. You definitely don't want to do that.
Your cybersecurity doesn't only protect you, it also protects everyone you're connected with.
Yes. So if you are the subject of an attack, a hack, whatever you want to call it, likely they're looking for information that they can use to exploit others as well and keep that attack going just beyond your machine and your data. So it could be just your family, but likely they're looking for all of your contacts, which would affect a community, your business, and more.
And this part, I think people really don't understand or miss. And it is that cybersecurity sounds a lot like I'm protecting myself, but in reality, it is bigger than that, right?
Yes. So the one that we see most often is if somebody got hacked, they've grabbed the contacts, and they do it in one of two ways. They either pretend they're the person that got hacked and they send a message out to them and they try to propagate the virus, malware, whatever it might be, ask for private information. But the one that gets a little funky is when they impersonate someone in the contact that is not the one that got hacked and send it from that contact to another person in there. And so then they're really confused because that's harder to find out. Where did this attack actually come from? Where did the hack come from? And so we often have to look in the email logs and a bunch of stuff that would bore you if we talked about it. But that is how those things can happen, and it will compromise a business. And also, if you're somebody who has access and hasn't really properly configured your bank accounts, your credit cards, things like that, you can lose a lot of money personally by doing some of those things.
So technically, my mistake could cost other people money, time, trust, and even their businesses.
So if you report these incidents, you can naturally call your IT contact, whoever that might be. Yes, us. But the other thing beyond that is if it gets to a decent size, that's where in the US you would report it to IC3, which is, I think it's FBI related. And then there are some other things related if it's beyond just IC3, where it gets to infrastructure like electricity, utilities, things like that, a larger company hack. You might go to something like CISA and use some of those resources as well.
Or maybe even in the case of like a new virus or a new way of hacking.
Yes.
That is where it would be good to report it to, because
Exactly.
I mean, we need to keep in check all that. So in the types of cybersecurity awareness or online, we can let people know about those new ways of hacking.
Yes.
And everyone could keep safe.
Yeah. Well, what'll happen is if there are upticks in different types of attacks, like the one that we saw from Stellarium in I think a week or two ago, Proofpoint, which is a email filtering company, saw that there were a number of people trying to send this one particular type of attack out over and over and over. And it's been around for years, but for some reason it's become popular once again, and it can steal all kinds of info. And then once that happens, because that uptick occurred, they could put this report out, and then they share it with everybody else. And then that attack can now be protected by a number of other companies that provide similar services to them.
Think of it like getting a vaccine or using vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just protect yourself, you protect the herd or
Exactly.
the people around.
Yes, exactly.
So this is where we notice that Cybersecurity Awareness Month is about raising the awareness that is protecting yourself and protecting your community.
Yes. So make sure when you think about this that you not only go through the basics, which you're going to see on many different websites, you'll see it in the For people who read the description of what we put out, you're going to see links to the Vendor Security Alliance. You're going to see links back to the CISA resources, where they do have multiple language support for things like posters, awareness messages that can be sent out from either IT or HR or just to your family. Those are all the things that we'll have as resources for you, and I highly encourage you to use them, because these things change on an ongoing basis. And so if you only took just this 1 month of the year, that's better than nothing. But remember that these changes and scams happen on a regular basis. If you'd like to be a part of when they happen and when we tell our clients about it, sign up using one of the links that you've seen below and also in the description.
Also, on that same line, they also have presentations already done where you can, like, if you have a company or if you work at a company and you want to bring this awareness, you could do the presentations for your team. They're already like ready, written, everything is prepared, so you can just like technically pass it down to others. So keep also that in mind. Cybersecurity Awareness Month is not only about bringing fear to the people, it's also about creating smarter habits, not for just yourself, but for everyone around you. So this is where we request you please share our video or at least share the tips we're teaching you. That way people can be smarter.
Yes. Thank you very much for spending the time with us today. And as Fer mentioned, share this with others, especially the items that are in the description. Those resources are really valuable. And if you have never seen them before, this is a great time to start. It's the month of October. In the US, at least, weather's getting cooler. And so I can say that now's a great time to do a little bit of education so that everyone benefits in the end. And we limit or mitigate our risks as much as possible.
So to wrap this up, remember the basics still matter. Passwords, MFA, updates, but also with the Cyber Awareness Month, look a bit deeper. Check your vendors, question unusual requests, video calls from a boss that may be asking for something they never asked before, or video calls, and also lock down your smart gadgets. Remember that your choices also affect others. Like this video if you really like the topic we used today, also what we teach you about. Leave us a comment below with any of your thoughts about this. And also Bill had a challenge for all of you. So in this video, what is the challenge for everyone to do at their houses?
Oh, go to your home, pick a device that's not Google or Amazon or one of the major vendors, like a security camera or an old internet router. Take a look at it and ask yourself, when was the last time that I made sure this thing was updated? How old is it? And do I feel like it's really secure? And then let us know if you need any help.
You can put it also in the comments, the answer to that question. I guess all of us have something like that at our house. And this is where we go back to, let's create this awareness. It will be positive for everyone to like keep themselves safe, because that way we can keep everyone else safe.
Exactly.
And thank you for watching the video. I know Bill and I are rambling a lot by the end of the video, but we hope you stay safe, you stay protected, and if you need help, you can call us.
Yes. Have a good day.
Bye.